Okay. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Julia Carrillo, and I'll be presenting my artifact analysis for MAE 670. Yes. Okay, so a quick summary of the PLOs for this master's program. PLO 1 is about integrating advanced approaches to instruction, assessment, and learning using digital tools and skills. PLO 2 is designing learning experiences that include learner characteristics, principles of customized learning, and assessment as learning. PLO 3, apply practitioner research methods to study and inform instruction in traditional and digital learning environments. And then finally, PLO 4, to develop reflective practices that are grounded in current learning, science, research, professional ethics, and include pathways to continuous growth. And then IDM are legends for introduced, developed, and mastered. This following slide is my curriculum map and artifact analysis table. So you will find the courses that I took. I have been a teacher for 10 years now. And so my POS 7 and 8 are both induction related artifacts. Okay, so to begin, in MAE 610, the first course that we took, I did a plan of study and a practitioner research. So the assignment that I picked was a source practitioner research study review, in which we had to break down one research article and so I focused on direct instruction based teaching of SEL skills and the measurement of those SEL skills in middle school students. I have been a middle school student teacher for over 10 years. And to be honest, before embarking on this master's program, I had no knowledge of SEL. So for alignment, PLO 1, I chose introduced. Um, because I am honestly just barely understanding the concepts of SEL and direct instruction of it. In the past, I thought that these concepts were exclusively for elementary school teachers, and it wasn't until after we returned from COVID and distance learning that I really saw a huge lack in these skills in my incoming sixth graders, and I wanted to learn more about it. PLO 3 was also introduced because, as has said, I had no experience with SEL, and to be honest, I had no experience doing any kind of research of scholarly sources in my teaching experience. Uh, let's see. So for ITI 670, I chose an annotated bibliography. We had to annotate 5 different articles, which focused on the connection between middle school students' motivation and the teaching styles of middle school elective courses. This again has been another emphasis of mine. I recently began teaching our science electives of STEAM and robotics, and I was finding that I struggle with motivating students much more than I would in a core academic class. And for my alignment for this body of work was PLO 3. So, again, applying practitioner research methods because I analyzed and evaluated the work of other researchers and then considered how to apply it into my own teaching practices. Okay. And in ITI 672 SEL in Action, I chose a presentation that we created to introduce SEL to other teachers and staff members as if we were going to be sitting in a school-wide meeting. And the purpose of it was to provide staff with small changes that they could make in their daily routines to improve their students' lives. And to the right, I have a few examples of those slides. I align this with PLO 1 as developed because it's the first time that I had considered on how to support other people, other colleagues, in their understanding of the SEL competencies. I applied what I have learned thus far of SEL, um, and learned enough to be able to introduce the subject matter to others. I also aligned this with PLO 4 as an introduced because it asked to develop reflective practices. And so I had not considered how, um, how to basically support other people and in growing and growing myself. And so I feel that I am just at this point was just beginning to understand SEL and how to support those in my community. Um, okay. ITL 604, Learners and Learning. For this assignment, we had to unpack the TPEs, TP2, and we had to address every little component of TPE2, which I honestly, it's been years since I had ever looked at a TPE. And so for this one, I chose PLO2, which I believe, or I am at introduced or developed because by breaking down TPE2, I focused on my teaching practices, and it had me review and remember, again, some of these TPEs I had never heard. Well, some were new and some I hadn't used before. But in this activity, I gained a deeper understanding of the TP components, and I identified 3 areas of growth, and I also analyzed where I myself have strengths. Okay. ITL 606. This would be learners and learning too. In this assignment, we looked at diversity and inclusion, specifically in the lens of SEL. So we completed a Sanford College of Education playbook, which there were modules, and then we wrote responses to various questions or prompts or videos that we watched. For the alignment, I chose PLO 4 as developed. One of the parts or major components of this assignment was to create an action plan for how we could continue to grow in our practice. And so I applied things that either I saw or read. And so the task was, how can I implement this now in my classroom? Simple things that I could do. And I can say that I have applied at least 3 of those. And these are all, goals that we have hopefully within this year. So in ITI 674, research and SEL, so I chose my literature review. This assignment required me to evaluate previous work on SEL programs, and I also researched or decided to work on trauma-informed practices. In total, I used over 12 sources for this in-depth analysis, and I aligned it with PLO 4 as mastered. I chose mastered since the purpose of this work was not only to evaluate previous work from other researchers, but to also propose my own action research project and to add to the body of knowledge. Um, okay. In ITI 660, identity, inclusion, and equity. So again, this was a different research proposal. This one was regarding parent involvement and how it particularly affects English language learners. I chose the alignment of PLO3 as mastery. Um, and I chose mastery since I evaluated current research on parent involvement of EL students and the effect on their academic achievement. I also did not add this there, but I looked at ways in which I could improve um, my own teaching when it came to communication with EL students' parents, such as I have I now translate my emails to parents in both Spanish, where both Spanish and English, and I also have my email set up where my my bottom signature is both in English and Spanish to have hopefully a more open communication line with parents. PL, sorry, PLE. So induction. Okay, so to meet, let's see, like I've mentioned, I've been teaching for over 10 years. I chose a project that I just created in December, between December and January, for my robotics class. I would normally have one assignment that students can create, but in this case, I decided to take what I learned from UDL and have the students give them multiple methods of creating and, or I should say, of uh, let's see. So let me just read because I honestly forgot. So let's see. I created a new project, which they're given choice to create and the tools in which they create. So students have the options of two different things to make, and then two different softwares to use. Um, and for this one, I aligned it to PLO2, in which I have mastered, um, because I believe that this is as customized as an assignment as I've ever made, with taking in the understanding of students' diverse needs and their learning characteristics. Okay, and then another induction assignment that I have. I often go through 3D printing with my robotics classes, but it can be a very kind of dry um, lesson or very teacher directed. And I decided to do things differently this year. So I have aligned this assignment with PLO1 as mastered. And I decided to use Pear Deck, which is something that it's often used in elementary or even in, I would say, language arts. I've seen it, or social science, but I decided to use it for my robotics class. And so I took a regular, boring PowerPoint presentation and I made it much more collaborative, in which students interact in live time with the presentation, whether it be answering questions in which I can assess their learning instantly. It is also they can use multiple devices to answer on it, so that makes it much more engaging for them. And yes. And then finally, my last artifact is from this course, and it is the Applied Research Practitioner. In this final assignment, I again decided to go back to my MAE 610 research topic, and I wanted to look further into instruction-based teaching of SEL skills in the middle school setting. This, of course, was not just one article, as we had reviewed before. This took 5 articles in which we broke down the question, the participants, the variables, the findings, and the limitations. I assigned myself a PLO3 of developed and mastered. Um, I chose developed because I had analyzed previous work on my research topic. I learned greatly from their methodologies and the limitations of their work. Um, and I chose mastered as well due to the fact that after all of the information that I gathered, I was able to create my own personal research proposal that addressed some of the issues that were previously posed um, in other bodies of work. And so, in conclusion, I would say that this artifact analysis shows that I've grown as an educator in this past year. I've done plenty of research. I've looked into various instructional strategies that will help me um, uh, that will broaden my ability to work with students of different populations, of different uh, socioeconomic backgrounds, different languages. Um, I feel much more prepared to support English language learners. And I can say that I have a deeper focus and understanding of social emotional learning and how it affects students. Um, and I hope that I can apply many of these concepts in my own teaching and my own practices as the years come. Change does not happen in one day, but little by little we can modify. And then I'm hoping that I, as well as other peers, can kind of change our school community a little so that it is much more student centered and student supported as opposed to uh, not or less. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening.